it's a challenging industry because I always tell people, like, as things change, insurance, right? We build homes, we pay for cars to be repaired, we pay medical bills. Like basically that's what we do. So as you see things change in those industries, that has a direct impact on the insurance and how it's going to work and how much it's going to cost. Yeah. Which I think is another thing. What do you think? We talked briefly about this, but what do you think, like, the future of insurance? Like, what do you see like in 5, 10, 20 years from now? What do you think insurance looks like and how different does it operate?
I think it's really hard to tell. I had someone in the last year tell me, just sell your personal lines book. And I'm just like, nah, I'm not doing that. But it seems like the personal side is going to continue to be more and more streamlined. What's interesting is, so like for us on the personal insurance side, we probably have 10 to 15 companies at any time that we quote. And so the software that we used to use that, because insurance carriers, again, this doesn't sound right, insurance carriers did not want business. In the last 2-3 years. So they took themselves off the software for us to be able to, like, put all the information in. So we put in your date of birth, your driver's license number, your VIN number for all your vehicles, your address, all that stuff. Click rate, and it, spits out the rate. And for the most part, they're fairly accurate. And you take the top 2 or 3 of them, right? And then you would bridge them over into that company's website on the agent side, and you'd make your tweaks and get the final rate and proposal. They completely pulled off all the software. So that software that existed when I got in the industry in 2010 doesn't work anymore. And so what you're starting to see now is there's some different companies coming out with AI. So from a small business standpoint, as a small business owner on that, I now had something that my team could do, one of my people could do in the course of, I don't know, take them 10 minutes, 10 minutes if they have the information to do that, and get quotes from every company. Now they have to go into every company, put in that same information in 10 to 15 different companies. If we're doing what we claim as our job as a broker to do, is shop the market, and it just takes forever. Right. And then you get all these kickbacks because during this, like, we have a company right now, if the roof on a house or a commercial building is 15 years or older, they don't want it. Now back up. Like, I talked to Axiom Roofing, who just did my roof at home and my roof on our commercial building. I go talk to Jeremy and Juan and say, what the heck? Isn't there a 30 or 40 year warranty on these? They're like, yep. What's the problem then? Right? It doesn't make sense. Right.
But that's
so we're
what
running
they chose.
into all those objections. Yeah. They'll find any way to not write the business. And so that's what's been interesting. And so I think you're going to see a lot of AI tools for agencies to come and play, not to replace the people. And we've talked about this a lot internally at our office too, is you got to look at the AI side as a way to help serve our clients better. And so are there automations that we can create that are internally focused, not replacing our relationship with the client, but that can help us do our job more efficient, and serve our clients better, so we can get them a response on certain things quicker. And so you'll maybe start to see that where the AI can go directly into those sites and do that. But again, it's all being built. The insurance industry, technology wise, is like 25 years behind on everything. And then there's segments of the insurance industry, like the medical side of things, is even probably farther behind. Right. And so they don't even sync to any software. So it's,
yeah, no, it is. It is interesting. AI, I think, is revolutionizing every industry. And I think, to your point, like, it doesn't have to be done in a way to try to replace people, but to augment them and make us more efficient and better at what we do.
Exactly.
Something that I've seen farmers do. One of the companies we use, our main company, is like they're using AI now for information. So like from the agency standpoint, when we go in and we go, hey, we want to know, how is this covered? What's the eligibility on this? What about this scenario? Yeah. And there's, multiple policy languages, over the years, depending if you're in a grandfather policy or a new policy or what state you're in. And so now they're using that AI to be able to help get you an answer quickly, and link you to the right information, right? Which is really what like ChatGPT does, right?
Yep.
It gets you a quick answer and then gives you the link so you can go back and verify it.
Yep.
So I think AI can be used in a great way to make you faster and more efficient. I think AI could be a false sense of security if you try to replace people with AI, because AI is a program and it will not. It's kind of a misnomer. Me and my wife went round circles discussing this the other day. I don't think AI, it says artificial intelligence. It doesn't really think. It's using a program based on information available to it. There's no original thought for AI.
You can train it.
You can train it.
You can start to train it so it thinks the way that you do.
It responds the way.
It responds the way, but it's doing it by how you're guiding it.
Right. And based on the program and parameters that were put into it. It doesn't actually think through a problem. It's not going to problem solve for you. If you give it an input, it's going to use parameters that it has, information that's available, and apply the most reasonable answer to it. So I don't think you can't replace people with AI, but you can replace a lot of tasks with AI to make it work faster. The other thing I think was interesting, we talked briefly about this before, is blockchain technology when it comes to insurance. And I was researching it a little bit, which I thought was interesting. And I was like, I'm not sure how this is going to play into personal auto and home insurance, or even, regular small businesses. But it was interesting. They were talking about smart contracts so that you can place on the blockchain. Because one of the interesting parts about blockchain is you can't change it. Once it's on the block, like, you can't alter it. So it's there. Anyone can see it. It's fully transparent. So if you have an insurance policy and you bought it and put it on the blockchain, like, there's no discussion now about what kind of coverage you have. It's there. You don't have to try to keep a 180-page policy that you got sent 20 years ago when you first took out your policy. And then they were saying with the smart, with those smart contracts, it can trigger, like they were using the example of crop insurance. If you have a hail event in a certain area, the system would automatically see that it hit certain parameters and would automatically be able to settle a claim to you based on all of the data that it has, because it's on the internet, it's on the blockchain, and it's pulling that information.
And then if there's another circumstance that happens to come into play, that's where you get an adjuster involved or something like that. But it streamlines it so you get that. This is very cut and dry, black and white. Boom. This happens. Boom. There's a deposit in your account the next morning.
Exactly.
Right? Because and those are the things for technology that can help the process.
Right.
Like anything. I mean, with humans right now, nothing's perfect.
No.
Right. People make mistakes, and but if that can help automate some of that and make it quicker, those are positive things, right? But people are scared of what they don't know. And and so until they start to dive in and understand it, and even the blockchain stuff, I'm still educating myself on. I'm still wrapping my head around some of the AI stuff. I got good. I remember my cousin, like, a long time ago. He's like, I always joke. I always go to him for like stock tips or whatever, because he bought Tesla stock like way back at the beginning. He had Bitcoin, like all that stuff. He's always just been like self-educated and figuring that stuff out. And he's a sound engineer down in Santa Monica, and he at one point interviewed for a job. I don't know if it was with YouTube or Google or something like that. This is back probably 2012, 2013 maybe. And he's like, yeah, TV as you know it is going to change over the next 10 years. I was like, whatever. I got my DirecTV sports package or whatever. And I watch my Mariner games. And he goes, no, at some point you're going to have like an a la carte option that you can just choose like what you want, and look where we're at today. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of what it is, And so it's interesting. Things just continue to change and shift. And how do you adapt, and how do the people? The other thing I was going to say, is you were talking about that too, is one of the things that that's happened in our industry too, is when people go to buy online, the online systems are using AI and all this kind of stuff significantly. My question is how do they know you? Right? Because you can maybe answer a few questions, but if you go onto progressive.com's website, their direct site, like we sell Progressive, but it's the broker side, and then they have the direct side. If you go to Geico, you go to whatever these carriers are, the General, whatever, most of the time when they say, hey, we're going to save you 15% or more in 15 minutes, you're going in there, you're putting in information. The first quote you're getting is state minimum limits. I sat with a guy in the last year, net worth is over $20 million. He was through an online carrier. He had $25,000 worth of liability coverage if he or his family, 3 teenage drivers.
Oh man.
And actually, like, we came in and I think we were like $1,000 more a year, but we had 500,000 in coverage for that. We had a $3 million umbrella. Like, we added like all these different things to it. And it's just like, because they just always kind of did it. And what's really interesting too, and I'll say this about myself too, I'm only 41, but like the older I get, I start to get kind of like that grumpy old man. Like I'm annoyed with technology. Like I just don't want to figure this out, Yeah. And business owners and entrepreneurs are that way a lot too. Like they like the chase and they're the big idea guy and things like that. Like I've surrounded myself with a lot of people who are very detail oriented. That is not me. I'm like, how do we figure this out? Relationally, does this make sense? How do we take care of people? How do we want people to feel when they're done with us? How do we expand here or do this? And what happens though is we kind of forget about all those little detail security type things. And so what happens is a lot of people say, I want this off my plate. I'm going to go online. I'm going to look at this. There's no one advising them. And yet they have an attorney, they have an accountant. Who's your insurance agent that's going to have your back? Yeah. And I think it should be Andy Jewell at Farmers or Mana Insurance Group. That's my, like, one of those two are the people that have your back and are actually going to sit down and have a conversation with you and make sure you're covered properly. So.
No, I think that's huge. I think that's exactly the point is you need to have a person, right? Like I kind of joke sometimes, like, you want to have someone that you can come sit at my desk or throw a brick through my window if something goes wrong, right?
Yeah. Like I always use the terms like, I want a guy for that. Yeah. Or I want a gal for that. Yeah. That's my guy. That's my girl. Yep. That's who I go to. Right.
Yep. Yep. It's really important to have that relationship, to have a person that you can work with. So. Cool.